Hey, beautiful people, welcome back. In this short video, I want to talk a little bit about the term lifestyle medicine, what that means, and how I think it can help us in our pursuit of well-being and health. If you're new to this community, I'm Dr. Sally Bell. I'm a medical doctor, health educator, mother of 3 beautiful daughters, and I like to explore and teach on personalised health, what we can be doing on a day-to-day basis to heal ourselves, our communities and our planet. And I thought the best way to do this is tell you a little bit about my story into this style of medicine that I now practice and use to help people recover health. It's really interesting when you train as a doctor here in the UK, the first couple of years, you learn all about just how amazing the human body is, at a genetic level, cellular level, as a whole, within the context of our communities, our psychological well-being. It is amazing. It's stunning. The science is really, really wonderful. And certainly since I was at university over the last 10, 15 years, there's a whole host of things, host of sciences around sleep and communication, our gut microbiome, all sorts of things, stress, that have exploded on the scene and added value just to the sheer wonder of how we're made and how our bodies operate. And it is very, very clear right from that beginning that our bodies are designed for healing, for repair, for longevity, and that even it's wired for death, like life and death, this cycle of life and death goes on, and that is part of our genetic design. But we are designed for longevity. And after your first couple of years of doing that and learning all that, it's almost like you get into the 3rd year of medicine and they kind of throw you onto the wards and it's like, guys, forget that now. Now you need to listen to people's symptoms, put them into a disease category, create a disease label from that categorization, and then follow guidelines. Guidelines are often very pharmaceutically driven. And back in those early 90s, it never made sense to me. It seemed totally bizarre. It's like, why do we do that training? You don't need to. You just need pattern recognition. And actually, do you need a human being to do this? And so it used to bother me, but I was 20 and who knew? I just wanted to be a good doctor. I wanted to help people. It was that simple. So I went with the program. I trained to do general practice and spent some years in Africa in those naughty years, and came back in 2008 to the inner city here in Nottingham, which I totally loved. Like it hugely diverse, loads of different ethnicities. It was such a rich experience, so much so that we actually chose to live on the estate as well as work on the estate. Our kids went to school there. It was a very rich experience. But I found myself at this point in general practice where I say to people, I felt more like a pharmaceutical vending machine than I did a doctor. Like, people would come in for 10 minutes at a time. Certainly when I left general practice in 2016, I would be seeing 40 patients a day, 10 minutes at a time. They wouldn't know me, I wouldn't know them. And just this massive pressure to put people into a disease category and diabetes, ping, 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 here's your drugs. High blood pressure, ping, 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 here's your drugs. Depression, here's your drugs, here's your CBT. And just felt like I was never getting to the root of what was wrong with people. And also, whereas when I trained in medicine in those late 90s and did general practice, there was some continuity of care. And so that question that you would ask just as you're about to leave the office, probably the one that you wanted to ask when you came in, but couldn't pluck up the courage. I could say to you, don't worry, I'll see you in a week, or just book in 2 weeks and we'll pick up on that. We'd lost that continuity of care. And also, again, over the last 2 or 3 decades, there's been this incredible drive to specialise. And so now we have a doctor for the foot, for the knee, for the shoulder. We have one for the skin, for the liver, for the mouth, the eye, and that's brilliant. Like, specialisation care is amazing and has a really critically important part to play in offering really amazing care for those areas. But again, because we in the community had lost that sense of not lost that sense, we'd lost continuity. We weren't there to hold it all together. anymore. And so again, not only was there was no continuity of care, there was just never being able to look at the whole, just treating a part of somebody instead of the whole, treating a disease instead of the individual, treating them outside the context of their community. And what's interesting is, when you look at the major causes of death in the UK after this, cancer and what we call cardiometabolic diseases, prescribing, safe prescribing supposedly, is the third cause of death. And so certainly I just didn't feel safe anymore in what I was doing. And I went into medicine to help, and I didn't feel I was able to do that with any integrity anymore. And I got to the point where it must have been about 2009, 2010, I lost my own health. And thank God for the NHS. I always say to people, if you find yourself in a road traffic accident and you're in A&E, you don't want me standing over you talking to you about sleep hygiene and broccoli. Like, you want that doctor and that anaesthetist and that surgeon to save your life and give you the care you need. What I'm talking about here isn't replacing, the incredible work that our health service does, but that model isn't able to help us offer personalised care and get to the root cause of the current diseases that we're struggling with. So, I went through the health system with my health problem. Thank God for, all those scans I had. But I had this moment with my neurologist. I had my disease label. I'd tried various drugs. And I remember saying to him, "You're not telling me what's wrong with me. Like, is there anything I can do to get myself better?" And he didn't even look up. He slipped another very potent drug across on a prescription across the desk to me. And he said, "Sally, I'll see you in 3 months. Let's see if this works." And I walked out, and it was that tipping point, and I thought, do you know what? Our bodies are wired for healing, repair. What is going wrong? What do I need to do? And back then I went back to the books and we started looking at what our bodies needed. And again, like here in the UK, there wasn't any such thing as lifestyle medicine. It's far more accepted now. And I took some training from America, and start to learn about the foundations that underpin health. And again, what was surprising is that, these chronic diseases that I, talk about, when you look under the hood of what's causing them. So these diseases, everything from your Alzheimer's and your diabetes and your obesity and heart disease, autoimmune diseases and, mental health disorders. And when you look under there and says, what is causing them? Some of us think it's genetics and it's completely out of our realm of changing anything, but a massive part is to do with our lifestyle. Like some diseases, up to 90% are due to our lifestyle choices. And, it doesn't take scientists to go, well, lifestyle problems, lifestyle solutions, and to keep medicating is total insanity. Medication has its place. I am not anti-pharma, anti-pharmaceuticals. I worked for years in Africa. I had many babies and women in childbirth die, in my own arms because I didn't have some of the drugs or some of the interventions that could save them. Like, I know it has its place, but we need to start creating a method of approaching health by looking at the root cause and working out what we can do to underpin our health. And over the last 10 years, I have created a framework, and I'm not into 5 steps to this, that. But I talk about some foundations that underpin health that can help us kind of hang our discussion and our day-to-day decisions, in what we're doing on a day-to-day that will help us move more towards well-being and resilience and away from disease, and death. And I talk about 5 foundations. I think there's probably a whole host more, but it begins the conversation. And I talk about sleep, movement, so not exercise, movement, rest, which is actually about stress and it's not sleep, connection to self, connection to others, connection to our landscape, and nutrition. And it's no surprise when you look at modern life, that we find that on every single one of those foundations, there is compromise. We are very sleep deprived as a nation, and we know that as soon as we start getting less than sort of 6.5 hours sleep a night, a profound impact it has on our ability to stay well, to feel good, to repair our bodies, to stay disease free, to stay a good weight. Like good sleep underpins everything, and it's very compromised. It doesn't take any convincing that we are stressed as a nation. And certainly, the World Health Organization declared long before the COVID pandemic that stress was a global pandemic with devastating consequences, because again, when we live under chronic stress, our body isn't able to enter that rest and repair mechanisms that keep our body disease free and healthy. And so, managing stress is paramount and critical to our health. I talk about connection, which often surprises people, but connection to self and connection to other people and connection to a sense of purpose and landscape is also critical. And there's robust science now demonstrating how this disconnection can be as damaging as our smoking or our high blood pressure or our high blood sugars, in the context of things like heart disease. It's very inflammatory. And certainly, within the realm of depression and anxiety, when we're disconnected from a sense of purpose, how that can drive, mental health problems as well. So this need to connect. And I talk about movement, which surprises people as well, because they say sitting is the new smoking. You could go to the gym for your hour in the morning. There's big studies that show this. But if you sit for the rest of the day, whether that's in your car or at your computer, that hour in the gym or running makes no difference to the diseases we get or how long we live. And we need to be embedding our exercise. Exercise is important, but into these active lives of getting more active. And then finally, there's the nutrition piece. And, as far as I'm concerned, the majority, especially here in the UK, where nearly 70% of our food is ultra processed, we are eating shit and we are not getting the nutrients that we need to feed our gut microbiome, to feed our body. And it's having a profound impact, on our health. And so it comes back to sleeping well. It comes back to moving. It comes back to connecting to self and others. It comes back to resting, relaxing, and getting out of that stress state and eating some real nutritious food. And this is what underpins our health and puts our body in that position where it can stay disease-free and maintain our mental health and help us feel good. And so I'm going to unpack some of those foundations over these coming weeks, some of the detail of it. Like, this is the thing that consumes me night and day, like how to help people recover health, how to use these as a way that we can thrive and enjoy life. And so I hope you can join me in the coming weeks as we unpack that. I hope, that's helped. I hope you hear it in the context of the wonder of the health system we have. Like, this isn't in opposition to, this is bringing something alongside that can help us enjoy the fullness, of health. And so I hope you hear that message that I'm not anti-modern medicine, but this needs to go alongside, that approach in order to find fullness of life, to feel well, to feel good, to live long. So have a great week. Any questions, do pop it in the questions below. If you want to sign up to my newsletter to have a little reminder about what I'm talking about, do sign up below as well. So I will see you soon. Okay, bye.